A man gave me his old family videos. After watching them, I understand why he was so desperate to get rid of them. My name's Derek Wu. I haul garbage for the city of Ridgehaven. No metaphors, no sarcasm. My job is trash. Literal, reeking, street-side trash. I'm up before the sun, in steel-toe boots, riding shotgun in a rumbling truck. I grip, lift, dump. Grip, lift, dump. Repeat until my back aches and my gloves smell like they've been soaking in spoiled milk. It's not glamorous, but it's work that pays the rent on my studio and keeps food in my fridge. And you'd be shocked what people throw away. Most days it's diapers, moldy leftovers, and shredded bills. But every now and then, you find something strange. A box of perfectly good books. A set of dishes still wrapped in paper. A photo album tossed like it never meant anything. My rule is simple. If it's in a closed box, set off to the side, not bagged, not tagged, it's fair game. That's how I found the tapes. Well, no, that's not quite true. The tapes found me. A few weeks ago, on the edge of a sleepy suburban cul-de-sac, I was working my usual Thursday route when a guy burst out of his house. Early 30s, Asian like me, maybe Filipino? Vietnamese? Could have been Korean. His face was pale, his black hair damp with sweat. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "You're the garbage guy, right?" He said it with this desperate, breathless energy. His arms were shaking. Something about him made me instinctively step back. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Take this. Please." He shoved a cardboard box into my arms. Heavy, sealed with a single piece of packing tape. "Next pickup's tomorrow," I said, shrugging. No, his voice cracked. "Now? I need it gone." He didn't wait for me to respond. He just turned around, yanked his screen door open, and vanished into the house. The door slammed so hard it shook the porch railing. I tossed the box in the front of the truck, assuming it was just old clothes or junk electronics. Something told me not to open it right away. But that night, sitting in my dim apartment with nothing but cheap microwave ramen and background noise from a game show, I remembered the box. Curiosity got the better of me. It was sealed tight, but not locked. Inside, stacked neatly like precious archives, were at least 50 old VHS tapes. Thick, matte black rectangles, completely unlabeled. No dates. No names. Just a faint chemical smell, plastic and time. A strange thrill ran through me. Tapes like this. Could be anything. Old birthday parties. A wedding. Maybe even something not so innocent. I dragged out my old combo TV VCR, a clunky beast I rescued from a junk sale months ago, and loaded the first tape. The screen hummed to life in a burst of blue static. Then, children's laughter. A backyard. Party streamers. A kid's birthday cake with Power Rangers decorations. It looked like 1998. You could tell by the haircuts and the giant camcorder glare. There were parents standing around the grill, clinking beers. And there, in the middle, barefoot, grinning, missing a front tooth, was the same guy who'd handed me the box. I sat forward. The next few tapes were more of the same. Christmas mornings with wrapping paper covering the carpet. Summer road trips where someone kept shouting, "Don't point that thing at me." All of it faded and flickering. They weren't interesting, not really. But they felt real. Raw. Honest. Watching that guy grow up on screen, seeing his sister pull his hair during Easter dinner, watching him learn to ride a bike, then crash it into the mailbox. I felt like a time traveler, like I was intruding on someone's soul. But that changed with the tape labeled July 2002. I remember the moment the static hit. I had the tape running while scrolling my phone, not paying close attention. The screen fizzed, BZZZT, and I looked up. Same barbecue. Same backyard. The guy, now a teenager, fumbling with a spatula. He was burning burgers while everyone laughed. But something was different. In the upper right corner of the screen, near a thick oak tree, there was something hanging from the branches. A shape. I blinked. Rewound. Before the glitch, tree branches. After the glitch, a dark, floating smudge. Not like dust on the lens. Not something out of focus. This thing had form. Tendrils. It looked like a jellyfish made of smoke. Like a squid. Or no, like something worse. Dangling from the tree and watching the family. I paused the tape and leaned closer. My living room felt colder than before. I told myself it was just artifacting. Maybe the tape was damaged. That kind of stuff happens with magnetic media. I hit play again. The scene continued like nothing had happened. The kids splashed in the pool. The burgers charred. But the thing stayed in the tree. Still. Watching. Tape after tape, I searched for it. Most of them showed nothing but awkward teenage milestones. High school dances, piano recitals, some awful garage band practice. But every few tapes, the glitch returned. And the thing got closer. By Christmas 2004, it wasn't outside anymore. It was inside the house. In the corner of a hallway. A long-limbed shape. Still, but closer. Its silhouette was clearer. Humanoid, but wrong. Limbs too thin. Joints too sharp. Skin, if it had any, was darker than shadow. It never moved. It never made a sound. But it was there. The static came first. Always the glitch. Then came the watcher. By now I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I just kept feeding tape after tape into the VCR, watching this parasite inch closer to the center of the family's life. And closer to me. I don't know how long I sat there, hunched in the glow of that old TV, eyes bloodshot, brain buzzing. Time stopped meaning anything. Day and night just blurred into shades of gray, like I was stuck in a static signal of my own. The tapes kept playing. On one, the family was at the zoo. A normal, cheerful day. The boy, teenage Derek, was laughing while a giraffe stole popcorn from his hand. BZZZT. The glitch. Then there it was. In the reptile house. Not behind glass, not in a cage, just standing in the shadows near the exit doors. Watching. Its limbs blending into the darkness like branches. Like ropes. Like things with no business belonging to a living creature. It looked taller now. Or maybe it just felt taller. Like it was rising as my nerves fell apart. On another tape, a school play, bad lighting, worse costumes. But in the wings, just behind the curtain, the thing waited. Watching a scene it wasn't part of. Not clapping. Not laughing. Just there. By now, the figure had shape. A torso. Shoulders that sloped too far forward. Elbows that bent the wrong way. Its skin, or its surface, rippled like oil on water, never still, never solid. And always those same red eyes. Crimson. Dimly glowing. Fixed on the lens like it knew I was watching. Every time I paused the tape, it felt like those eyes were still there. Still looking at me. I stopped answering my phone. Missed 2 shifts. A coworker banged on my door once, but I just sat there, frozen behind it, holding a kitchen knife in both hands. I wasn't scared I was going crazy. I knew I was going crazy. But I also knew something was real. It had rules. The glitches. The tapes. The progression. It wasn't random. It wasn't just in the man's memories. It was inserting itself. Tape after tape, family events, personal moments, slices of joy, and every time, the creature got closer to the camera. To me. To the viewer. By the last week, I wasn't watching as a collector. I was watching as prey. Then came the final tape. It looked different from the others. Worn down, almost warped. A corner of the plastic casing was melted like it had been too close to heat. Written on the edge in black marker were the words, "Start here." That was all. I popped it in with shaking hands. The timestamp said July 1995. The screen blinked on with a faint hum, and for a moment, I saw something simple. A hospital room. White walls. Machines beeping. A nurse standing in the corner, half smiling at the camera. Then it turned. The lens focused on a woman. Pale, exhausted, glowing with joy. In her arms, a newborn baby. Wrapped tight in a blue blanket. The man stood beside her. Younger. Smiling. Crying maybe. And then the camera zoomed in on the baby's face. Tiny. Wrinkled. Barely moving except for soft twitches and one high-pitched wail. And the glitch never came. I sat there, holding my breath. No flicker. No BAZT. No shadow in the corner of the room. No long-limbed figure peeking in from the hallway. No crimson eyes watching from behind a curtain. Nothing. Just a clean, pure memory. I laughed. Or maybe I sobbed. I'm still not sure. It was over. Whatever this was, it started after that. Something must have changed. Something must have invited it in later. I hit the eject button and leaned forward to power off the VCR. That's when I saw it. Not on the screen. Not on the tape. In the room. In the far corner, where the light from my TV met the deeper dark of my apartment, something was wrong. The shadows didn't look like shadows. They looked intentional. Shaped. Formed. And then I saw them. 2 glowing red dots, floating just above the floor, like embers. Like eyes. And they were fixed, locked, onto me. My whole body froze. I didn't scream. Couldn't. My breath caught somewhere in my throat, like my brain was trying to disconnect before the terror fully sank in. And in that silence, I saw it. The thing was real. It was hanging, no, pressed, into the corner of the room, like a twisted marionette nailed to the walls. Limbs bent in impossible ways. Torso stretched too thin. Fingers splayed like they were searching for something to grip. It didn't move. It didn't need to. Its presence was worse than motion. I scrambled backward, kicking my coffee table, knocking over the box of tapes. I crawled until my spine hit the opposite wall. My hand reached wildly for the lamp. When I found the switch, I yanked it so hard the bulb flickered twice before flooding the room in warm, artificial light. Gone. The corner was just a corner again. The air felt normal. But I knew. It had been there. It had stepped out of the screen. Out of the memory. Out of the tapes. And into me. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't try to sleep. I sat on the edge of my couch with every light in the apartment on, knife in hand, eyes locked on the corner where the thing had been. I kept telling myself, if I watched, if I didn't blink, it couldn't sneak back in. By morning, I was shaking with exhaustion. But the fear? Still fresh. I told myself it had been a hallucination. Sleep deprivation. Shadows. Maybe I'd had a waking nightmare. Some kind of stress breakdown from obsessing over the tapes. That sounded reasonable. Almost. So I did the one thing I thought would ground me again. I went back to the man's house. I needed answers. I needed to ask him what the hell he had given me. If this was some kind of prank, a project, a cursed joke, I had to know. I put the tapes back into the box. Each cassette felt heavier than before, like they carried the weight of every stare the creature had ever made. The Start Here tape was on top. When I arrived at his neighborhood, I knew something was wrong right away. There were police cars outside. Bright yellow tape strung around the house like cautionary ribbon. 2 uniformed officers stood near the porch, speaking with someone in plain clothes. Neighbors huddled together on the sidewalk, whispering behind their hands. I parked a few houses down and approached on foot, trying not to look out of place. I caught just enough of the conversation to freeze my blood. Found him this morning, an older woman murmured. Still in his chair. They said there was no sign of struggle, someone else replied. No forced entry, nothing broken. Yeah, a man added, voice lowered. But the officer told my wife his skull was open, like something had just taken his brain out. No mess. No blood. I stood there, silent, numb, because I knew. The thing hadn't just moved on to me. It had circled back for him. The note. The tapes. The way he shoved the box into my arms, eyes wild with desperation. He knew. He thought giving it to me would save him. But it hadn't. It had lied. It always lies. I stumbled back to my car, the box on the passenger seat glowing like radioactive waste in the corner of my eye. I didn't go home right away. I drove around. Aimlessly. Hours passed. I ended up in a parking lot of a closed department store, engine running, staring at the steering wheel. And then, I started thinking, what if I could do the same? What if I passed the box along? Would it work? Could I hand this thing off like a cursed baton in some awful relay race? I didn't want to hurt anyone, but I didn't want to die either. Then I remembered something. A coworker at the sanitation depot, Frank. Mid-40s. Kind of a loner. Always talking about retro tech. Had a stack of VHS tapes in his locker. Maybe he'd want the box. Maybe he wouldn't notice anything wrong. Maybe that was the answer. I turned the idea over in my head for hours. Argued with myself. Justified. Rationalized. Is it wrong to damn someone else to save yourself? Probably. But if the alternative is your brain gone? I was still thinking it through when I got home. I dragged the box back inside, dumped the tapes onto the coffee table, and started pacing. And that's when I saw it. There was something new in the box. Not a tape. A photo. A grainy printed still image, tucked beneath the bottom flap of cardboard. Like it had just appeared. I pulled it out with trembling fingers. It showed my apartment. Not the outside. The inside. My living room. The angle was from the ceiling corner, high up, like a surveillance camera or something perched there had taken it. And in the photo, I was sleeping on the couch. Except, I hadn't slept in 2 days. There was something else in the photo, too. Standing just behind the couch. A tall, spindly silhouette. Long fingers reaching out. Toward me. I dropped the photo like it was on fire. It fluttered to the floor face up, mocking me. My own living room. My sleeping body. That thing, hovering behind me like a nightmare that learned how to pose for a camera. But I hadn't slept. I hadn't. So what was this? Had it drugged me? Or was I losing time? I turned every light in the apartment on again. Checked every closet, every drawer, every corner. Nothing. No cameras. No hidden devices. No sign of forced entry. Just silence. The kind that hums at the edge of your sanity. I sat back down, gripping the photo. That image haunted me more than any tape. Because it wasn't the past. It was now. It meant the thing could touch my life outside the screen. It was watching me when I didn't even know I was vulnerable. That night, I didn't dare sleep. Again. Instead, I did something worse. I watched another tape. I don't know why. Maybe it was the addiction. Maybe it was the illusion of control. Maybe I thought I'd find some kind of answer or warning. The label said nothing, like all the others. I slid it into the VCR, turned off the lights, and let it roll. Static. Then, the man's childhood bedroom. A small twin bed. Star Wars posters. A lava lamp glowing on the dresser. He looked, maybe 9 years old. Sitting at a desk, coloring something, humming. Innocent. I watched him lean over his sketchbook, tongue poking out in concentration. And then the static hit. A quick bzzzt, louder than usual. And when the image returned, the camera angle had changed. It was higher now, like it had shifted or been lifted. Now it was looking down from the ceiling corner. The same angle from the photo. My heart dropped into my stomach. On screen, the boy didn't seem to notice. He kept coloring. But in the far corner of the room, right by the closet, there it was again. Tall, crooked, draped in darkness like a man made from black tar. Its arms, too long. Its fingers, too many. Just watching. I hit pause. But the tape kept playing. Even though I'd pressed the button, the remote was dead in my hand. I tried the eject button. Nothing. The TV started glitching, colors warping, the screen flickering like it was gasping for air. And through that mess of distortion, I saw something else. A face. But not human. Its features kept shifting, eyeless 1 second, too many eyes the next. It leaned closer to the screen like it could see me, sense me. And then, it spoke. Not aloud. Not with sound. But in my head. A voice like bone scraping glass whispered. We remember. You're part of the story now. The screen went black. No static. No power down. Just darkness. Complete. Utter. Darkness. Then my TV exploded in sparks. I screamed, fell backward, crashing into the coffee table. Smoke hissed from the VCR. The air stank of burnt plastic. I ran to the breaker, threw every switch off. Silence. No creature. No face. Just the sound of my pulse in my ears and my own ragged breathing. But something had changed. I wasn't just watching anymore. It was watching back. And worse. It wanted me to know. I spent the next hour throwing the tapes into a trash bag, every last one. I taped it shut like it was filled with nuclear waste. And then, I walked 5 blocks to a construction site and buried it beneath wet concrete behind a shipping container. Gone. Sealed. Out of my home. Out of my life. Or so I hoped. I came back. Showered. Took sleeping pills. Poured bourbon on top just to make sure. And I finally slept. For the first time in days. But not peacefully. Because in that sleep, I dreamed I was back in the man's childhood bedroom. Only this time, I was the camera. I woke up screaming. But not from pain. From recognition. I wasn't dreaming randomly. It wasn't just a nightmare. I saw that bedroom exactly as it had been on the tape. The faded paint. The old posters. The smell of crayon wax and dust. And I wasn't me in the dream. I was the camera. Stuck in the ceiling corner. Frozen. Forced to watch. It felt like possession. Like my mind was being stored in that tape, trapped as a silent witness. Just like the creature. That's when it hit me. It wasn't just appearing in the tapes. It wasn't just added during the glitches. It was recorded into them. Like a parasite. Like an infection. It didn't haunt the family. It used them. And now it had moved on to me. That day, I packed a duffel bag. I left the apartment. I left the city. I drove 5 hours out to the edge of the state, toward the quietest, most remote motel I could find. But even that wasn't far enough. Because that night, as I lay in a lumpy bed, eyes on the ceiling fan spinning above me, my phone buzzed. No caller ID. Just a number. 000-000-0000. And a text. No words. Just a video file. I didn't want to open it. But I did. Of course I did. It was footage of me. In the motel room. Sleeping. From above. Same angle. Same static. Same glitch. The thing was in the corner again. It never left. It was with me now. Everywhere. Watching. Waiting. Feeding. I smashed the phone against the wall. Threw it into the motel toilet. Didn't matter. The next night, there was a new phone in my duffel bag. Same model. Same background. Same battery percentage. And a new message. Pass it on. That was the only thing the note said. Nothing more. Just 2 words. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But mostly, I just sat there, staring at the phone, and thinking, because I understood now. It was never about the man who gave me the tapes. It was about the tapes themselves. That box was a delivery system. A curse wrapped in cardboard. He hadn't given me a gift. He'd given me a chance. A way to delay the thing that feeds. By feeding it someone else. And now that choice was mine. That morning, I walked into town. I found a thrift store with a shelf of old electronics. Bought a second-hand VCR. Found a few blank tapes. I copied one of the originals. The one with the barbecue. The first appearance of the shadow in the tree. Then I wrote a note. Simple. Short. Almost kind. Found this at a yard sale. Thought you might like the old home footage. Feels nostalgic. I put it all in a box. Taped it shut. Addressed it to a coworker who used to mock my job. The one who said I'd never amount to anything. Never mattered. And I mailed it. No return address. No second thoughts. And now I wait. I know what I've done. I'm not proud of it. But I'm alive. And if that thing ever comes back, I'll just make another copy. There are always more tapes. Always more people who think what's old is harmless. They'll watch. They'll wonder. And then they'll see it too. Just like I did.